and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be diving into the world of Multivac and specifically talking about the price action of MTV. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down into this daily chart for Multivac. Right, we're going to just kind of go through what's going on with the daily, then dive down into the hourly, just to give us a bit of a view of what's going on next and what we should be expecting to happen with MTV. So obviously over this side, we have a Fibonacci retracement tool. This one runs from the all-time high and the bear market low, and it shows us at about 9.2 cent. Okay, so that's basically the high from like April 2019 and the low down here of October 2019. Then we have a fib on the right hand side. This is basically based on current performance. Okay, so the high that we've seen with the peak of the market so far, the correction wave that we've just had to endure with Bitcoin, for example, pulling us down nice and low, and this particular performance shows us then peaking out at 7.2 cent. Okay, so if we really break this down, we can see that there are a couple of things that we want to consider. Okay, so 9.2 cent, 7.2 cent, 2 cent in it. Ultimately, that's not really a lot to call it. I think 9.2 should be really easy to achieve. Now, we do have an orange line just marked up the top here. This is a 30 cent target. Okay, so although the fibs are indicating 9.2 cent and, of course, 7.2 cent, this is based on historical old data. And what we actually are starting to see now is with the mainnet launching and staking actually on there, a huge squeeze on the supply. We have over 2.5 billion staked, okay, which basically out of a 3.59 billion total circulating supply is significant, okay. Basically it means that there's a huge squeeze on that supply. There isn't that much more available to purchase from exchanges, and there are some wallets that are not even participating in staking. So overall, we have a huge squeeze on the supply. And there's only one additional thing that we need in order to really go after this 30 cent target, which is about 1,800% from the current position. And that is basically marketing. We need to see a lot more people talking about Multivac, right? We want to see more YouTubers picking up on the fantastic technology and project that is Multivac. And we need to see the team as well actually doing some advertising, doing some marketing, doing some I don't know, interviews or whatever, just to kind of spread the news of what Multivac is and what it is not. Ultimately, I do think this project has some serious potential, and we are looking to kind of surge this up to the upside. It won't take a lot of money to move that needle, solely because there is so much actually taken out of circulating supply already. So as soon as we start getting a little bit of traction with this thing, it's going to move significantly to the upside. So 30 cents is a nice target to be aiming towards, and again, with only 3.59 billion circulating supply, of which over 2.5 billion is actually staked. There's approximately only 1 billion actually out there. All right, so it wouldn't take a lot of money to really make that needle move rapidly to the upside. So overall, really excited to see how this fourth quarter goes with Multivac. Otherwise, the structure here is pretty much as you would expect, just back testing down on these key areas, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So overall, nothing really worrying about the long-term picture. As we go in the next few couple of months or so, we should be looking at some pretty good price discovery and all-time highs for Multivac. Now, we are going to jump over to the AAVE Dashboard. And here we're going to basically just go through what is going on. We have actually pulled down a rating to B2, okay, and there's a couple of reasons for this. We can just shoot down a little bit. We have the AMI-HAD ratios in A2, so there's no problem with liquidity. Plenty of liquidity for Multivac, which is good to see. We have Multivac Fear and Greed Index. This is a rating of D, so there's a lot of fear in the space, and this is pretty much in line with what you would normally expect to see in the crypto space as a whole, right? Multivac is a micro cap coin. It's got a really small market capitalization, and as a result, people seem to think these are higher risk, okay? And they prefer to say that things like Bitcoin is a safer bet or Ethereum is a safer bet, right? Now, ultimately, I don't gamble, so I don't like the terminology of a safer bet or a higher risk kind of scenario. I basically do my research. I dig into a project and I find out what's going on, whether or not it is something that has true value, and is it undervalued right now, right? And that's where I see MTV and Multivac, which is why I'm a whale in this particular project. And when it comes to things like Bitcoin, well, what utility is there really? It's a store of value. It hasn't performed very well, only 1,600% in gains. And those are something that you can easily see with Multivac actually getting you thousands upon thousands of percent in gains. So for me personally, I don't think Bitcoin's a safer bet in comparison to Multivac. It's really hard to kind of change that narrative, and a lot of people do often say, oh, Bitcoin's safer, and it's, yeah, sure, safer as a store of value, but that's about it. It has no true utility anymore. But that being said, we can of course see that there is a reasonable amount of fear in the space for Multivac, so we should be expecting some volatility. As we come on down, we can see the Sharpe ratio, and this always baffles me, right? The Sharpe ratio is a risk-reward ratio. An A2 rating, this is basically showing us that actually it might be worth holding Multivac because the risks do not outweigh the rewards, right? The rewards outweigh the risks. That coupled with the fear and greed index, right? So there's extreme fear, but actually it's in the same artificial intelligence is saying actually you might want to hold it, right? So it's interesting, kind of these things are opposite each other, right? Because normally if there's fear in the space, your Sharpe ratio would be also indicating that there's risk involved, right? But this is actually indicating that there is no risk involved, or a limited risk involved, and it's actually that risk reward ratio is working for you and is in your favor of holding Multivac. So why there is so much fear then just confuses me. But nonetheless, we have good liquidity, we have good risk reward ratio, and we have the best ROI, right? The best profitability in A1. There is of course the moving average problem. Okay, so the moving averages have been affected by the recent downtrend, and again is pretty much in line with the fear and greed index, right? So we have 3 positives and 2 negatives. Overall, we have dropped down from B1 to B2, and again, I think that is pretty much down to the fear in the space. But let's jump down into the Multivac again, and this time take a look at that hourly view and see exactly what is going on, because I can see some opportunities here, and I'm going to run through this with you guys. So obviously you can see we have the Fibonacci retracement zones. Okay, so we have this area just here. This one is our 786 area. Okay, so that's the 786, the 1.5 cent zone on the chart. Then we have in the middle there we have our 702. Okay, the 702 is a 1.36 area of the chart. Okay, and then at the bottom here, this area just coming down here is 1.22 cent. Okay, and again that's the 618 on the Fibonacci retracement tool. So where are we? Well, we've come down and touched on our 786 a couple of times, and every time we've touched on this area, what's happened? Well, we've moved significantly to the upside. We've had a good bump on the price. Now there is of course this downward trend that we are looking to invalidate, so I'm just going to draw a line on here so we can see that. Okay, so what we're looking for now, and the potential opportunity that lies here, is this last opportunity to buy up Multivac within this area between 1.6 and 1.5 cent. Okay, and because we're getting tighter and tighter into this wedge. Okay, there's a downward trend line, and we have a support line down here. Okay, this basically forms a triangular wedge just here. Okay, and as it gets tighter and tighter, we get that explosion to the upside. So right now the opportunity is to basically buy up any discounted MTV with people selling that fear. Okay, so we have fear and greed index D. People are selling Multivac right now, whilst you're in this tight area here. From here, basically you get this surge to the upside. Now this looks like it's going to conclude by the latest of the 14th of October. It could happen at any moment though. Timing is the hardest thing to gauge. We might push up, we might find resistance, we might come back down, and then we break it, right? But ultimately we're looking to break this trend, this downward trend line, by using our support line down here at 1.5 cent. Okay, so overall everything's looking pretty good for Multivac right now. We've had to endure a little bit of turbulence during the last few weeks, but that being said, we are now starting to get ourselves wedged into this triangular wedge, looking for that break to the upside. Where it come, we should be looking to target out some of these nice key areas and move up to new all-time highs shortly after. Okay, so we also were halfway towards our 1.618 area on the Fibonacci retracement tool. If I zoom back out to the daily, that comes in at 2.8 cent. Okay, so we're looking at trying to move up to 2.8 cent from our 1.5, and again it wouldn't take a lot to actually do that right now. So there are a few areas of resistance en route. The first major one that we want to be concerned with is 2.1 cent. After that we'll be moving up towards our 2.3 and 2.4, but after that basically all-time high 2.8 should be the first area of major resistance before pulling back and then pushing on up again. So we won't be doing it in like straight moves. We'll probably find ourselves bouncing around a little bit on that journey to the upside as we start to move up towards new all-time highs for Multivac. So Last little opportunity, in my opinion, down here between 1.6 and 1.5 cent before we actually do break that trend and push back to the upside. With Bitcoin breaking 55k, it's almost time to see many of these altcoins really heat up now into Q4 and push up into significant new highs during this fourth quarter. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there, but hopefully you have found it useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.